Captain Day Won Kim stood on the bridge of the Eternal Spring and watched the stars pass by. His ship was massive, almost 3 kilometers long, and it carried 50,000 people in cryosleep chambers. These people were colonists, dreamers who wanted to start fresh on a new world far from Earth. Day One had promised to deliver them safely. He took that promise seriously. "Captain, we're approaching the Andromeda Relay Station," said Ji-Won Lee from her position at the navigation console. She was a calm woman with sharp eyes who had served with Day One for 8 years. "We should arrive in 6 hours." Day One nodded. The relay station was a checkpoint, a place where ships refueled and got clearance to continue their journey. It was supposed to be safe, protected by the Galactic Concordat. Every species followed the rules there. Hannah Park, the chief engineer, walked onto the bridge carrying a tablet. She looked tired but satisfied. "All systems are running perfectly, Captain. The cryosleep chambers are stable. Everyone is safe." Daewon smiled at her. Hannah had a daughter in one of those chambers, a little girl named Subin, who was only 7 years old. Hannah checked on her every single day, even though the computers said everything was fine. That was what parents did. "Good work, Hannah," Daewon said. Taemin Choi, head of security, sat at his station near the back of the bridge. He was a big man, with careful eyes. His younger brother was also in cryosleep, along with thousands of others. Taemin took his job seriously because protecting the ship meant protecting his family. Everything seemed normal. The Eternal Spring moved through space like it had for the past 4 months. The crew worked their shifts, ate their meals, and dreamed about the new world waiting for them. Then the alarm started screaming. "Captain, unknown ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel," Ji-Won shouted. Her fingers flew across her console. 5 vessels. Military grade. "They're surrounding us." Daewon felt his stomach drop. "Hail them. Find out what they want." Before Ji-Won could send the message, the communication system activated on its own. A face appeared on the main screen. It was not human. The creature had gray skin, 4 eyes arranged in a square pattern, and a mouth full of sharp teeth. It wore a military uniform, covered in medals and symbols. "Human vessel, you are now property of the Vrel Dominion," the alien said. Its voice was harsh and cold. "Cut your engines and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will result in the destruction of your ship." Daewon stepped forward. "This is Captain Daewon Kim of the colony ship Eternal Spring. We are peaceful travelers under the protection of the Galactic Concordat. You have no authority to stop us." The alien laughed. It was an ugly sound. "I am Commander Voss of the Vrel Dominion. The Concordat means nothing here. This is Vrel space, and you are trespassing. Your ship, your cargo, and your people now belong to us." "We're not in Vrel space," Ji-Won said quickly, checking her maps. "The Concordat charts clearly show." "Your charts are outdated, human," Voss interrupted. "We claimed this sector 3 months ago. You should have checked before entering." Hannah moved closer to Daewon and whispered, "Captain, they're jamming our communications. I can't send distress signals." Daewon kept his face calm, but inside he was thinking fast. The Eternal Spring was a colony ship, not a warship. It had no weapons, no shields, strong enough to stop military vessels. If he tried to run, they would destroy the ship and kill everyone aboard. "What do you want with us?" Daewon asked. "N1," Voss smiled, showing all those sharp teeth. "Your ship has valuable technology we will salvage. Your colonists will be sold as workers to mining operations and factory worlds. Humans are weak, but you can do simple labor. You will be useful." The bridge went silent. Daewon felt anger burning in his chest, but he forced himself to stay calm. "You're talking about slavery. The Concordat laws forbid. Your species has only been in space for 3 centuries, Voss said, his voice full of contempt. "You are children playing with toys you don't understand." You have no standing in galactic law. You have no power. You are nothing. Tae-min stood up from his station. We are citizens of Earth. We have rights. You have what we give you, Voss said. Now, I grow tired of talking. Surrender your ship, or I will blow a hole in your engine section. You have 60 seconds to decide. Day One looked at his crew. He saw fear in their eyes, but also trust. They believed he would save them. But what could he do? If he fought, they would die. If he surrendered, maybe some of them would survive. We surrender, Day One said quietly. A wise decision, Voss said. We are boarding now. The screen went dark. Hana grabbed Day One's arm. I know, Day One said. We'll find a way. I promise. Within an hour, Vrel soldiers filled the Eternal Spring. They were professional and brutal. They separated the crew from each other. Taking them to different parts of the ship, Day One tried to stay with his people, but the soldiers pushed him away. Commander Voss walked through the ship like he owned it. He stopped in front of Day One and looked at him with all four eyes. Take him to the holding cell with the others. Then, begin processing the cargo. The cargo is people, Day One said through his teeth. The cargo is merchandise, Voss corrected. You humans need to learn your place in this galaxy. They threw Day One into a holding cell with 20 other crew members. Ji-won was there. And Tae-min. And a dozen others. Hana was missing. So was the medical officer and several engineers. Where's Hana? Day One asked. They took her to engineering, Tae-min said. His hands were shaking with anger. Day One sat down on the cold floor and put his head in his hands. He had failed. He had promised to keep everyone safe. And he had failed. Then they brought in the screens. Commander Voss appeared on them, smiling his terrible smile. I want you to watch, Voss said. I want you to see what happens to those who trespass in Vrel space. I want you to see. Givener. The screens showed the cryosleep chambers. Vrel workers were opening them one by one, waking the colonists. Day One saw confused people stumbling out, saw children crying for their parents, saw families torn apart as the Vrel sorted them like animals. He saw Hana's daughter, little Subin, wake up scared and alone. He saw Taemin's brother, a young man named Dong Hyun, being dragged away by soldiers. He saw Ji-won's husband, a teacher named Woojin, trying to fight back and getting hit with an electric weapon. The crew in the holding cell watched in horror. Some cried. Some screamed. Some sat in silence, too shocked to move. Day One watched every second. He memorized every face. He counted every crime. And deep inside, where Commander Voss could not see, something cold and hard began to grow. The Vrel had made a mistake. A terrible mistake. They thought humans were weak because they asked for peace. They thought humans were powerless because they followed rules. They thought humans would accept this because they had no choice. But Day One had spent 20 years in Earth's military before becoming a colony captain. He had fought in the Mars Rebellion. He had seen what humans did to each other when pushed too far. And if humans could do that to their own kind, what would they do to aliens who hurt their families? Commander Voss had never heard the old rule. He didn't know what happened to those who trifled with humans, but he was about to learn. The Vrel processing station Omega-7 hung in space like a metal spider. It was huge, with dozens of docking arms reaching out to captured ships. The Eternal Spring was locked to one of those arms now, connected by heavy clamps that dug into the hull like teeth. Inside the holding cell, Day One counted his crew. 23 people in a room meant for 10. They had been here for 6 hours. The Vrel had given them water, but no food. They wanted the prisoners weak and scared. Captain, what do we do? Asked a young engineer named Bo Ram. She was 24 years old, fresh from the academy. This was supposed to be her first big adventure. Day One looked at her and saw the fear in her eyes. He saw the same fear in all of them, but he also saw something else. He saw anger. Humans were good at fear, but they were better at anger. We survive, Day One said. We watch. We learn. And we wait for our moment. What moment? Taman asked. He was pacing like a caged animal. They have weapons. They have ships. We have nothing. We have each other, said a quiet voice from the corner. Everyone turned to look. An older man sat there. Someone Day One didn't know well. His name was Young Soo Han, listed as a retired teacher among the colonists. He had gray hair and gentle eyes, but something about the way he sat, the way he watched everything, made Day One look twice. I don't believe we've met properly, Day One said carefully. Young Soo smiled. No, Captain. We haven't. I kept a low profile during the journey. Old habit. He stood up and stretched. I taught school for 15 years. Before that, I worked for Earth Intelligence Services. 25 years in the field. The cell went quiet. Earth Intelligence Services. Everyone knew what that meant. Spies. Assassins. The people who did the jobs nobody talked about. Why didn't you tell me? Day One asked. Because I'm retired, Young Soo said. I wanted to live a quiet life on a new world. But he looked at the screen showing the colonists being processed. Plans change. A woman sitting near the door laughed. It was a harsh, bitter sound. Well, if we're sharing secrets, I should too. She stood up. It was Minji Kwon, the medical officer. I'm a doctor, yes, but I was also a combat medic during the Titan Wars. 3 tours. 76 drops into hostile zones. Day One felt hope beginning to grow. The Titan Wars had been brutal. Combat medics from that conflict were trained to fight as well as heal. Anyone else? Day One asked, looking around the cell. A thin man with farmer's hands raised his hand slowly. Jae Hyun Song, he said. Agricultural specialist. But before that, he paused. Special Forces. I was part of the team that broke the New Seoul siege. Now, Taemin was smiling. It was not a nice smile. It took us 6 days, Jae-hyun said quietly. Once we got inside, Day One looked at these 3 people and saw them differently now. The galaxy thought humans were weak newcomers, but Earth had spent thousands of years at war with itself. Humans had learned to fight in every possible way. And now, the Vrel had put wolves in a cage and called them sheep. Can we get out of this cell? Day One asked. Young Soo walked to the door and examined the lock. Vrel technology. Biometric scanner keyed to their genetic signature. Without a Vrel hand or eye, we're stuck. Then we get a Vrel hand, Taemin said. First, we need information, Young Soo said. We need to know the layout of this station. We need to know where they're keeping the colonists. We need to know when the guard shifts change. I can help with that, said a new voice. They turned to see Bo-Ram standing by the wall. She had removed a panel and was looking at the wires behind it. I'm an engineer, she said. Give me an hour, and I can tap into their internal sensors. The Vrel will detect that, someone said. Not if I'm careful, Bo-Ram replied. She looked at Day One. Trust me, Captain. Day One nodded. Do it. Do it. While Bo-Ram worked, G1 was taken from the cell. 2 Vrel guards came and demanded the communication specialist. They needed her to send messages to other human ships, telling them the Eternal Spring had been delayed, but was fine. They wanted to prevent anyone from looking for them. When G1 came back 3 hours later, she looked exhausted but triumphant. Did they make you send the messages? Daewon asked quietly. Yes, G1 said. But I added something they didn't notice. A code that every human communication officer learns. It means under duress. Situation critical. Will anyone understand it? Taemin asked. If they're paying attention, G1 said. But I also did something else. They let me access the Concordat communication network to make the calls look legitimate. While I was in the system, I sent a message to the Kethran Trading Assembly. Day one knew about the Kethrans. They were an old species, traders who had been in space for thousands of years. They stayed neutral in all conflicts, but they knew everything that happened in the galaxy. What did you tell them? Day one asked. The truth, G1 said. That the Vrel captured a human colony ship and are processing our people as slaves. That they're separating children from their parents. Young Su whistled. That was smart. The Kethrans keep records of everything. If humanity ever gets strong enough to demand justice, that record will exist. It's more than that, G1 said. She was smiling now. A strange smile. The Kethran I spoke to asked me one question. He asked if the Vrel had hurt our young. The cell went quiet. What did you say? Minji asked. I said yes, G1 answered. The Kethran went silent for a long time. Then he said something strange. He said, May the Vrel find mercy in their next evolution. There is a reason old spacers have a saying. A human will forgive you anything except threatening their family. Day one felt something cold run down his spine. The Kethrans know us. They know what we are. Apparently, G1 said. He also told me that my message would reach certain parties who would be interested in this situation. Earth, Taemin said. He's sending word to Earth. Not just Earth, G1 said. The Human Defense Fleet. Everyone knew what that meant. Humanity had dozens of colony worlds now, and all of them contributed ships to the defense fleet. It was supposed to protect human space from external threats, but it had never been tested. The galaxy had never attacked humanity before. Until now, Bo Ram suddenly gasped from her position by the wall. Captain, I'm in their system. I can see the station layout. Everyone crowded around her. She had connected her engineer's tablet to the station's internal network. The screen showed a map of Omega 7. The colonists are being held in Processing Bay 7, Bo Ram said. That's 2 levels down and half a kilometer from here. How many Vrel soldiers? Jaehyun asked. Bo Ram checked. 40 guards in that section. But, she frowned. Something's wrong. The system shows authorized personnel counts. And there are people moving through maintenance tunnels who aren't being tracked. End quote. Show me, Young-Soo said. Bo Ram pulled up another screen. Heat signatures moved through passages that were supposed to be empty. Those are colonists, Young-Soo said. Some of them got away during processing, and they're hiding in the walls. Or organizing, Jae-Yoon said quietly. Daewon looked at the map and started making a plan. How long until we can break out? Young-Soo examined the door again. We need a Vrel to open it from the outside. Then we need weapons. Then, we need a miracle. I can handle the miracle part, said a voice from the door. They all turned. A Vrel guard stood there, alone. He was looking at them through the window with all 4 eyes. Taemin moved toward the door, fists ready. Wait, Daewon said. Something was wrong. The guard touched the lock panel. The door opened. I am Kor, the guard said in broken human language. I am shamed. This, he gestured at the station. This is wrong. Not honor. Not warrior way. Young-Soo moved faster than Daewon thought possible. He had the guard's weapon before anyone could blink. But he didn't shoot. He just held it ready. Why help us? Young-Soo asked. Because I have child too, Kor said. I see human children crying. I see parents scream. This not war. This is... He struggled for the word. Evil. Yes, evil. Daewon looked at this Vrel soldier and saw something he didn't expect. He saw shame. He saw honor. He saw someone who remembered what being a warrior meant. Will you help us free our people? Daewon asked. Kor nodded. I will. But know this. Commander Voss will kill all humans before surrender. He is proud. Too proud. You must be fast. We will be. Daewon promised. As they prepared to move, Bo-Ram's tablet chimed. She looked at the screen, and her eyes went wide. Captain, I'm picking up faster than light signatures at the system edge. Big ones. Multiple capital ships. Day One felt his heart race. Who? Bo-Ram checked, and then smiled. It was the first real smile Day One had seen in days. They're broadcasting human identification codes. It's the 3rd and 7th fleets. The cell erupted in noise. People were crying, laughing, shouting. Earth had come for them. Humanity had come for its children, but Day One wasn't celebrating yet. He looked at Kor. They already moving, Kor said. But human ships. They close. Too close. How they come so fast? Day One smiled. Because the Vrel violated the oldest rule in the galaxy. They trifled with humans. And now, they're about to learn what that means. Commander Voss stood in the control center of Omega-7 Station and watched his tactical display with satisfaction. The human colony ship was secured. The colonists were being processed efficiently. Soon, they would be sold to the mining companies and factory worlds. The Vrel Dominion would profit greatly from this capture. Commander, we're detecting faster-than-light signatures at the system edge, reported a junior officer. Voss didn't even look up. How many? Scanning now. Multiple capital ships. Commander. They're broadcasting human identification codes. Now Voss looked. The display showed 2 fleet formations moving toward the station. Big ships, military vessels. He counted them quickly. 47 ships total. Voss felt a moment of surprise, but then he laughed. The humans sent their fleet. How cute. He turned to his communications officer. How long until they arrive? At standard approach speeds. Voss relaxed. Then we have plenty of time. Increase processing speed. I want these colonists ready for transport in 5 days. We'll be gone long before the human fleet arrives. Yes, Commander. But the communications officer was wrong. The humans weren't using standard approach speeds. They were using quantum skip drives. A new technology that Earth kept secret from the galaxy. What should have taken 6 weeks would take 4 days. And Earth wasn't coming to negotiate. They were coming to retrieve what was theirs. On board the flagship Indomitable, Fleet Admiral Sung Ho Bei stood on the bridge and watched the tactical display. He was an old man, gray-haired and stern. He had fought in 3 wars and commanded fleets for 30 years. He had seen terrible things. But when the message arrived about the eternal spring, he had moved faster than anyone thought possible. Status report, Admiral Sung Ho said. 3rd and 7th fleets are in formation, his tactical officer reported. All ships are ready. Marine forces are standing by for boarding action. Time to the station? 3 days. 17 hours at current speed. Admiral Sung Ho nodded. 3 days. The colonists just needed to survive 3 more days. He prayed they could. In the station's holding cell, Day One and his people were moving. Kor, the Vrel guard who had freed them, was leading them through maintenance corridors. They moved quietly, weapons ready. Young Su had the guard's rifle. Jae-hyun and Tae-min carried stun batons they had taken from a storage locker. Processing Bay 7 is ahead, Kor whispered. But many guards. How many? Day One asked. 40. Maybe 50. Tae-min cursed quietly. We have 3 weapons and 23 people. Then, we need better weapons, Young Su said. Kor, where does the station keep its armory? Level 3, Sector 9. But is locked. Need command codes. Day One looked at Bo-Ram. She still had her tablet connected to the station's systems. Can you unlock it? Bo-Ram bit her lip. Maybe. If I can access the security protocols. But it will take time. And they'll know someone's in their system. How much time? 20 minutes. Do it, Day One decided. We'll create a distraction. While Bo-Ram worked on the armory locks, something else was happening in the processing bay. Little So-Ra Jung, a 16-year-old girl, was doing what the Vrel never expected. She was organizing. So-Ra had pretended to be scared and compliant when they woke her from cryo-sleep. She cried and followed their orders. But inside, she was watching everything. She was counting guards. She was memorizing schedules. She was looking for weaknesses. When the Vrel weren't watching, she talked to other colonists. She found the brave ones, the clever ones, the angry ones. She found adults who would listen to a teenager with a plan. They move us in groups of 50, So-Ra whispered to a man named Il-Sung Park. He was a construction worker, big and strong. When they move the next group, I'm going to trip and fall. When the guards come to pick me up, you hit the closest one. Hard. Il-Sung stared at her. Kid, they'll kill us. They're going to sell us as slaves, So-Ra said. That's worse than death. At least fighting gives us a chance. Il-Sung looked at her fierce young face and saw his own daughter in her. His daughter, who was somewhere else in this station. Scared and alone. He made his decision. Okay, he said. So-Ra smiled. Good. Tell the others. When the fighting starts, everyone runs for the maintenance tunnels. Hyunwoo found them yesterday. Hyunwoo Kang was the Eternal Springs AI specialist. The Vrel thought they had shut down all the ship's systems. But Hyunwoo had left back doors in the code. While pretending to help the Vrel strip the ship, he was actually accessing the station's entire network. He found the maintenance tunnels. He found the patrol schedules. He found the locations of emergency supplies, backup power systems, and communication arrays. And he was slowly, carefully, feeding all this information to colonists who were pretending to be helpless. The Vrel thought they were processing cargo. They didn't realize they were sitting on a powder keg. In the station's medical bay, Min-Ji Kwon was treating injured colonists under Vrel supervision. But she was also doing something else. She was identifying people with useful skills. Former soldiers, engineers, anyone who could fight, or build, or plan. You were military, she said quietly to a woman with a broken arm. Min-Ji had seen the woman's posture, the way she assessed every room she entered. How did you know? The woman whispered. I was too. Titan Wars. You? Mars Rebellion. Artillery specialist. Min-Ji finished setting the woman's arm. Can you fight with that? The woman flexed her fingers. Give me a weapon and find out. Good. When things start, find the others. We'll need every fighter we have. The Vrel guard watching them didn't understand Korean. He just saw a doctor helping patients. He didn't see a combat medic recruiting an army. Back in the maintenance tunnels, Bo-Ram was sweating over her tablet. Almost there, Captain. The armory locks are complex, but I think I've found a way through their encryption. Faster would be better. Taemin said, watching the corridor behind them. I'm going as fast as I can. Young-Soo put a hand on her shoulder. You're doing great, Bo-Ram. Take the time you need. Finally, Bo-Ram's tablet chimed. They moved quickly. The armory was exactly where Kor said it would be. Inside, they found rifles, pistols, body armor, and even some heavy weapons. Kor, you beautiful alien, Taemin said, grabbing a rifle. You really do have honor. Kor clicked his mandibles in what might have been a smile. Vrel warriors used to have honor. Commander Voss forgets this. He forgets that strength comes from honor, not cruelty. They armed themselves and moved toward the processing bay. But as they approached, they heard the sounds of fighting, shouting, screaming, energy weapons firing. What's happening? Dae-Won demanded. Bo-Ram checked her tablet. The colonists are fighting back. Someone started it in Processing Bay 7. It's spreading to the other bays. Dae-Won started running. His people were fighting without him. His people were dying without him. They burst into Processing Bay 7 and saw chaos. Colonists were fighting Vrel guards with bare hands, with pieces of equipment, with anything they could grab. Il-Sung had a guard's rifle and was shooting with the skill of a man who had served in the military. So-Ra was leading a group of teenagers through a ventilation shaft. A Vrel guard turned and saw Daewon's group. He raised his weapon. Young-Soo shot him first. The old spy moved like a man half his age, his shots precise and deadly. "Form up," Daewon shouted. "Get the colonists to safety." The crew of the Eternal Spring moved like a trained unit. Minji appeared from another entrance with her own group of fighters. Jae-hyun took control of a heavy weapon position. Taemin moved through the Vrel guards like death itself, his special forces training making him unstoppable. The Vrel were confused. These were supposed to be helpless colonists, but they were fighting like soldiers. They were organized. They were winning. In the control center, Commander Voss finally understood that something was wrong. "Commander, we're receiving reports of fighting in all processing bays. The humans are armed, and they've freed thousands of colonists." Voss felt real fear for the first time. "How did they get weapons?" "And unknown, Commander. They're accessing our systems. They're in our network." Voss slammed his fist on the console. "Lock down all sections. Send all soldiers to the processing bays. Kill them all." "Commander, the human fleet. I don't care about the fleet." Voss screamed. "They're weeks away. Kill these humans now." But his communications officer was staring at his display in horror. "Commander, the human fleet. They're not weeks away." "What?" "They just dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They're in orbit. They're here now." Voss looked at the tactical display and felt his blood turn cold. The human fleet surrounded the station. 47 warships, their weapons powered and targeting systems locked. A communication channel opened. A human face appeared on the screen. An old human, with gray hair and cold eyes. "This is Fleet Admiral Sung-Ho Bay of the Human Defense Fleet," the old human said. His voice was calm, almost gentle. "You have taken our people. You have hurt our children. You have one chance to live. Return every human to us unharmed, and we will accept your surrender." Voss felt rage replace his fear. "Surrender? To humans? You dare threaten the Vrel Dominion?" "We will." "I am not threatening," Admiral Sung-Ho interrupted. "I am explaining your only option. You have violated the oldest rule in the galaxy. You have trifled with humans. Now, you will learn what that means." Voss made his decision. If he was going to die, he would take these humans with him. "You want to see what happens to your people?" He turned to his soldiers. "Bring me 3 colonists. Bring me young ones." On the Indomitable, Admiral Sung-Ho watched as 3 human children were dragged in front of the screen. His face didn't change, but everyone on the bridge saw his hands grip the armrests of his chair so hard they shook. "Release those children," Admiral Sung-Ho said quietly. "Or what?" Voss laughed. "You'll attack? You'll risk hitting your own colony ship? You'll risk killing your own people? Humans are weak. You are—" Voss never finished his sentence. Young-Soo Han appeared behind him and shot him in the head. The Vrel commander fell. Young-Soo had used Hyun-Woo's access to the station systems to find a path to the control center. He had moved like a ghost. And now, he stood over Voss's body. "Tell your admiral," Young-Soo said to the shocked Vrel crew, "that we'll be securing the station now. Anyone who surrenders will live. Anyone who fights will die. Choose, quickly." On the Indomitable, Admiral Sung-Ho allowed himself a small smile. "All ships," he ordered. "Begin boarding operations. Secure that station. Bring our people home." The Vrel control center was silent, except for the sound of Young-Soo Han's breathing. Commander Voss lay dead on the floor. The Vrel crew members at their stations stared at the old human with fear in all their eyes. "Drop your weapons," Young-Soo said calmly. "Hands where I can see them." They obeyed. One by one, the Vrel crew placed their weapons on the ground and raised their hands. Young-Soo kept his rifle trained on them while he moved to the communications console. "Admiral Sung-Ho, this is Young-Soo Han. I have secured the control center. Commander Voss is dead. The station is yours. On the Indomitable, Admiral Sung Ho nodded. Well done, Agent Han. I'm sending Marine forces to your position now. Hold that room. Understood, sir. Admiral Sung Ho turned to his tactical officer. Launch all Marine pods. I want 5,000 Marines on that station in the next 10 minutes. Priority targets are the processing bays, the docking arms holding the Eternal Spring, and all weapons systems. Yes, sir. The space around Omega-7 filled with small assault pods. They launched from the human warships like a swarm of angry hornets. Each pod carried 10 Marines in full combat armor. These were not ordinary soldiers. These were Earth's best, trained in zero-gravity combat, close-quarters fighting, and urban warfare. Commander Yoonji Nam led the assault. She was young for a Marine commander, only 32. But she had earned her position through 3 major campaigns. She sat in her pod with her team, checking her weapons one last time. Listen up, she said over the team channel. Our people are on that station. Some are fighting. Some are injured. Some are children. We get them all out safe. Anyone wearing Vrel armor who doesn't surrender immediately, you put them down hard. Clear? Clear, ma'am, her Marines responded. The pods hit the station's hull like hammers. Cutting torches burned through the metal. Marines poured into Omega-7 through dozens of breaching points. The Vrel soldiers tried to fight back, but they were confused and disorganized. They had expected to face helpless colonists, not trained military forces. They had expected weeks to prepare, not minutes. The human assault was overwhelming. In Processing Bay 7, Day 1 and his crew heard the sound of breaching charges. Then they heard something beautiful. Human voices speaking Korean and English and Chinese, and a dozen other Earth languages. This is Sergeant Kwan Ho Lee, 3rd Marine Regiment. Any humans in this area, sound off. This is Captain Daewon Kim of the Eternal Spring. Daewon shouted back. We have approximately 2,000 colonists secured in this bay. We need medical assistance. Marines poured into the room. They wore powered armor that made them look like giants. They moved with military precision, securing every corner, checking every shadow. Sergeant Kwan Ho approached Daewon and saluted. Captain Kim, we're here to bring you home. Daewon felt his knees go weak. He had been strong for so long, holding everything together. Now, with rescue finally here, he could barely stand. Tae-min caught him. Thank you, Daewon whispered. Thank you for coming. Sir, Earth doesn't abandon its own, Sergeant Kwan Ho said firmly. Ever. Medical teams followed the Marines. Minji rushed to help them, directing them to the most seriously injured. So-ra found her parents in another processing bay. Il-sung found his daughter. Families were reunited amid tears and laughter and relief. But not everyone was celebrating. In engineering, Hana Park was still searching. She had been separated from her daughter Su-bin during the initial capture. She had been working with the colonist resistance, helping Hyunwoo access the station's systems. But every moment, she wondered where her little girl was. Su-bin! Hana screamed as she ran through the corridors. Su-bin! Where are you? She found a group of children being led to safety by Marines. She searched every small face. Not there. She ran to the next group. Not there either. Panic was building in her chest. What if Su-bin had been hurt? What if she had been sold already? What if... Mama? Hana spun around. Su-bin stood in a doorway, holding the hand of a Marine who had found her hiding in a storage room. The little girl looked scared and tired, but she was alive. Hana ran to her and dropped to her knees, pulling her daughter into her arms. She sobbed. Holding Su-bin so tight the girl squeaked. I'm sorry, Hana cried. I'm so sorry I wasn't there when you woke up. I'm sorry. It's okay, Mama, Su-bin said. She patted her mother's head like Hana was the child. The nice soldiers came. They said you would find me. They were right. The Marine who had been holding Subin's hand smiled. Your daughter is very brave, ma'am. She helped us find 6 other children, who were hiding. Hana looked up at the Marine with tears streaming down her face. Thank you. Thank you for keeping her safe. Just doing our job, ma'am. But the fighting wasn't over everywhere. In the lower levels of the station, a group of Vrel soldiers had barricaded themselves in a weapons control room. They were led by a lieutenant named Corvan, a loyalist who refused to surrender. We are Vrel, Corvan shouted to his soldiers. We do not bow to inferior species. We fight to the death. He activated the station's defensive weapons and targeted the human ships in orbit. Energy beams lanced out toward the Indomitable. On the bridge of the flagship, alarms blared. Incoming fire from the station. Admiral Sung Ho remained calm. Shields up. Return fire on the weapons platform only. Precision strikes. Remember, our people are on that station. The human ships returned fire with surgical precision. They hit the weapons platform with exactly enough force to destroy it without damaging the rest of the station. The Vrel defensive systems went silent. But Corvan wasn't finished. If he couldn't destroy the humans in space, he would destroy the humans on the station. He activated the self-destruct sequence for the entire processing wing. 5 minutes until detonation, the computer announced in the Vrel language. A young Vrel soldier, one who had been conscripted only months before, stared at Corvan in horror. Lieutenant, there are thousands of beings in that wing, including our own people. Then they will die with honor, Corvan screamed. Better death than surrender. The young soldier made a decision. He shot Corvan. The lieutenant fell, surprised and betrayed. The young soldier turned to the others. I will not murder children, he said. Human, or Vrel, or anyone else. This is wrong. Help me stop the self-destruct, or get out of my way. The other soldiers looked at each other. Slowly, they lowered their weapons. One of them stepped forward. How do we stop it? Commander Yunji received the warning from her Marines in the lower levels. 4 minutes until the processing wing exploded. She made a quick decision. All Marines, full evacuation speed. Get every person out of the processing wing now. Move! Move! Marines started grabbing colonists and carrying them. Some carried 2 at a time. Some carried children on their backs while helping injured adults. They moved faster than anyone thought possible. Taemin found his brother Dong Hyun in one of the last groups. Dong Hyun was weak and injured, but alive. Taemin threw his brother over his shoulder and ran for the safe zone. Jae-hyun helped elderly colonists who couldn't run. He picked up an old woman and sprinted down the corridor. Behind him, other Marines did the same, forming a chain of rescuers, moving people to safety. 3 minutes left. Bo Ram was trying to reach the self-destruct controls remotely through her tablet. I can see the sequence, but I can't stop it. The codes are locked. Keep trying, Daewon said. He was helping people evacuate. While Bo Ram worked, 2 minutes left. In the weapons control room, the young Vrel soldiers were frantically trying to abort the self-destruct. But Corvan had locked it with his personal codes, and he was dead. 1 minute left. Everyone out! Commander Yunji shouted. No one left behind. The last Marines were running from the processing wing, carrying the last colonists. So-ra was helping younger children run. Il-sung was carrying 3 kids at once. Minji was dragging an injured Vrel soldier who couldn't walk. 30 seconds left. Bo Ram screamed in frustration. I can't crack it. Young Soo appeared next to her. Let me see. His fingers moved across the tablet with the speed of someone who had broken into secure systems for 25 years. This encryption is military grade. But it's old. I've seen it before. 20 seconds left. Whatever you're going to do it fast. Taemin shouted. Young Soo's fingers flew. Come on, come on. 10 seconds left. The last Marines dove through the blast doors. Commander Yunji was the last one out. She rolled through, just as the doors began to close. 5 seconds left. Got it! Young-Soo shouted. The self-destruct sequence stopped with 2 seconds remaining. The processing wing didn't explode. Everyone was safe. Commander Yoon-ji lay on the floor, breathing hard. She looked up at her Marines and the colonists they had saved. Everyone was staring at the blast doors that had just closed. Then someone started laughing. It was a little girl, maybe 5 years old. She was laughing with relief and joy and the pure happiness of being alive. Soon others were laughing too. Then crying. Then hugging each other. Humans and even some Vrel soldiers who had helped with the evacuation. They were all just people who had almost died together. Admiral Sung-ho received the report that everyone was safe. He allowed himself to relax for the first time in days. Status of the station? He asked. Completely secured, sir. All remaining Vrel forces have surrendered. We have control of all systems. Casualties. 17 Marines wounded, none killed. Approximately 200 colonists injured, 3 dead during the initial capture and processing. We were lucky, sir. Admiral Sung-ho nodded, but his face was hard. 3 dead. 3 humans who would never reach their new world. 3 families destroyed because the Vrel thought they could take whatever they wanted. And the Vrel fleet? He asked. In retreat, sir. They're running for their home territory. Don't let them get far. Admiral Sung-ho said. I want to send a message to the Vrel Dominion. I want them to understand what happens when they violate the oldest rule. His tactical officer smiled. It was not a nice smile. Yes, sir. I believe they're beginning to understand already. In the control center, Young-Soo stood over Commander Voss's body. Kor approached him carefully. You moved like a ghost. Kor said. How did you reach this room? Young-Soo looked at the Vrel soldier who had helped them. Because someone taught me that honor matters more than species. Thank you, Kor. You saved lives today. Kor clicked his mandibles. Perhaps some Vrel still remember what honor means. Perhaps we can learn from this. Perhaps, Young-Soo agreed. But the lesson is going to be painful. Outside, the human fleet surrounded the station. On every ship, the message was clear. Humanity had come for its own, and nothing in the galaxy would stop them. 3 months had passed since the rescue at Omega-7 station. The eternal spring had finally reached its destination world. A beautiful planet with blue oceans and green continents that the colonists named New Haven. The 50,000 settlers were building their new home, but the galaxy had changed around them. On Earth, in the Grand Hall of the Galactic Concordate Assembly, representatives from 200 species gathered. The hall was magnificent, built thousands of years ago by the founding species of the Concordate. Light came through windows, made of crystal from a dozen different worlds. The air carried the scent of flowers that grew on planets light years apart. Ambassador Hyun-Soo Park stood at the human podium. He was a tall man with kind eyes and silver hair. He had served Earth in diplomatic positions for 40 years. Today, he would make the most important speech of his career. The hall was full. Every species wanted to see what the humans would say. The Vrel incident had shocked the galaxy. In 300 years of human space travel, nothing like this had ever happened. Some species wondered if humanity would demand war. Others hoped for mercy. The Vrel representative sat in his section, looking small and afraid. The Vrel Dominion had lost a sector fleet, their most important processing station, and the respect of the entire galaxy. They had sued for peace within days of the battle. Ambassador Hyun-Soo looked at them without hatred or anger. He looked at them with something worse. Disappointment. Honored members of the Concordate, Hyun-Soo began. His voice was calm and clear. 3 months ago, a human colony ship was seized by the Vrel Dominion. 50,000 civilians, including children, were declared property. They were processed as cargo to be sold as slaves. When we protested, we were told that humanity had no standing in galactic law. We were told we were weak. We were told we were nothing. The hall was silent. Every representative watched the human ambassador. The Vrel were wrong, Hyun-Soo continued. Not because humanity is strong. Not because we have powerful ships or advanced weapons. They were wrong because they forgot something every species in this galaxy should know. You do not harm families. You do not hurt children. You do not take what is not yours. Enter rung. He pressed a button. The massive screens around the hall came to life. They showed footage from Omega-7. The representatives saw human colonists being dragged from cryosleep chambers. They saw children crying. They saw families torn apart. Some representatives turned away. Others watched with horror on their faces. This is what the Vrel did, Hyun-Soo said. This is what they thought they could do without consequences. The screens changed. Now they showed the rescue operation. Human Marines moving through the station. Colonists fighting back. Young Soo shooting Commander Voss. The desperate evacuation before the self-destruct. And this is what humanity did in response, Hyun-Soo said. We came for our own. We rescued our people. And we showed the galaxy that some things will not be tolerated. He paused and looked around the hall. But we did not come here today to demand revenge. We did not come here to start a war. We came here to make sure this never happens again to any species. He pressed another button. A document appeared on every representative's screen. This is the Protection of Sapient Rights in Transit. It establishes clear rules for the treatment of colony ships, refugees, and civilian vessels. It makes the seizure of colonists illegal under Concordat law. It establishes penalties for those who violate these rights. The Vrel representative stood up. His voice shook. The Vrel Dominion accepts these terms. We apologize for our actions. We did not understand. You understood perfectly, Hyun-Soo interrupted. His voice was still calm. But now it was cold. You knew what you were doing was wrong. You simply thought you could get away with it. You thought we were weak. The Vrel representative sat down, looking ashamed. An older representative stood. She was Kethryn, one of the ancient trading species. Her skin was covered in silver scales, and her eyes were wise. Ambassador Park. The Kethryn Assembly supports this resolution. We have long known the dangers of trifling with protective species. Perhaps it is time the younger species learned this lesson as well. Everyone. What do you mean? Asked a representative from the Drex Confederation. The Kethryn elder walked to the center of the hall. There is an old saying among spacers. A very old saying. Do not trifle with humans. Some of you are young species. You think this saying is new, born from this incident. But it is not. The old ones, those who have traveled the stars for millennia, we have always known. Humans are not unique in the galaxy. There are other protective species, other beings who will sacrifice everything for their young. But humans. She paused. Humans are the only species that spent 5,000 years at war with themselves. They learned every possible way to fight. And then they came to the stars. Another representative, a Theran diplomat, spoke up. Are you saying we should fear humanity? No, the Kethryn elder said. I am saying you should respect them. There is a difference. Fear leads to conflict. Respect leads to peace. The Vrel feared nothing, and respected nothing. Look what happened to them. 30. A young representative from the Osean Republic stood. But surely, the Concordat cannot allow one species to dictate terms. Captain Dae-Won Kim's voice interrupted him. Then you would allow what happened to us to happen to your people? Everyone turned. Dae-Won had been sitting in the observer section with other survivors from the Eternal Spring. Now, he walked down to the speaking floor. Ambassador Hyun-Soo nodded, giving him permission to speak. I am Captain Dae-Won Kim, he said. I commanded the Eternal Spring. I watched my people being processed like animals. I saw children torn from their parents. I heard them crying, begging for help, and I was powerless to stop it because the Vrel said we had no rights. He looked around at all the representatives. How many of you have children? How many of you would accept what happened to us happening to your families? Silence. Complete silence. That's what I thought, Day One said quietly. This resolution is not about human power. It is about protecting everyone. It is about saying that some things are sacred across all species. Family, children, the right to travel in peace. Hannah Park stood next to her daughter Subin. My daughter is 7 years old. She woke up from cryosleep scared and alone. She didn't understand why strange aliens were taking her away from me. She thought I had abandoned her. Hannah's voice broke. No child should ever feel that way. Not human. Not Vrel. Not any species in this galaxy. Subin held her mother's hand and looked at all the alien representatives with her big eyes. She didn't say anything. She didn't need to. Her presence said everything. The Osean representative sat down, looking ashamed. I apologize. You are right. This resolution should pass. One by one, other representatives stood to support the resolution. Even species that were traditionally neutral voted yes. Even species that had conflicts with humanity voted yes. Because they all understood. They all had children. They all had families. And they all knew what they would do if someone hurt them. Only the Vrel representative abstained. He sat alone in his section, surrounded by empty seats. Other Vrel diplomats had refused to come, ashamed of what their people had done. The vote was counted. The resolution passed with 197 votes in favor, 0 against, and 3 abstentions. Ambassador Hyun-soo bowed his head in thanks, but he wasn't finished. There is one more matter to address. The Vrel Dominion has offered reparations for their actions. They have offered wealth, territory, and resources. We have reviewed their offer. The Vrel representative looked hopeful. We reject it, Hyun-soo said flatly. Shocked murmurs filled the hall. The Vrel representative stood. But, we are trying to make amends. What more do you want? We want you to remember, Hyun-soo said. We do not want your wealth. We do not want your territory. We want you to remember what you did. We want you to teach your children about the day you violated the oldest rule in the galaxy. We want you to make sure it never happens again. He pressed a button. The screens showed a memorial being built on New Haven. It was a simple stone wall, with 50,000 names carved into it. Every colonist who had been on the Eternal Spring. At the top, 3 names were highlighted. The 3 who had died. These 3 people will never see New Haven, Hyun-soo said. They were killed during processing. A scientist named Jun Ki-yoon. A teacher named Airi Shin. A child named Dal Nim Choi, who was only 4 years old. Remember their names. Remember what your arrogance cost. The Vrel representative was crying now. Real tears running down his face. We will remember, he whispered. I swear we will remember. The session ended. Representatives filed out of the hall, talking quietly among themselves. The younger species had learned a hard lesson. The older species nodded to the human delegation, with respect. The Kethran elder approached Ambassador Hyun-soo. You showed wisdom today. You could have demanded vengeance, but you demanded justice instead. You could have started a war, but you chose peace. The old ones will remember this. Thank you, Hyun-soo said. But I hope we never have to prove ourselves this way again. Perhaps you won't, the Kethran said. The rule has been rewritten. Not just for humans, but for everyone. That is a good day's work. Later that day, Day One stood with his crew at a viewport overlooking Earth. They had been given medals. They had been called heroes. But they didn't feel like heroes. They felt like survivors. Do you think they really learned? Taemin asked. Do you think this will change things? Young-soo joined them at the viewport. The old spy had been offered his position back with Earth intelligence. He had declined. He still wanted that quiet life on New Haven. Some will learn, some won't. But at least now, there's a price for not learning. G1 smiled. My husband is waiting for me on New Haven. He sent a message saying, our house is almost finished. He's planted a garden. My brother got a job at the construction company, Taemin said. He says New Haven is beautiful. Subin loves it there, Hannah said. She's already made friends with other kids. They play in the fields under those 3 moons. She laughs every day. After everything that happened, I was afraid she wouldn't laugh anymore. But she does. Day 1 looked at his crew, his friends, his family. Then we won. Not because we fought, not because we survived. We won because our people get to live their lives. They get to build their homes, raise their children, and be happy. That's what we fought for. Captain, Boram said quietly. What will you do now? Will you command another colony ship? Daewon shook his head. No. I think I've had enough adventure. I have a house waiting on New Haven too. A quiet life sounds good. You? Taemin laughed. Living a quiet life? I'll believe it when I see it. They all laughed. It felt good to laugh. Far away, on the planet that would become the Nouvrel capital, after they lost their old one in the conflict that followed Omega-7, a teacher was telling young Vrel students about history, and that is how we learned the oldest rule in the galaxy, the teacher said. Do not trifle with humans. Do not hurt families. Do not take what is not yours. The humans taught us this lesson in blood and fire. We must never forget. Number 4. A young Vrel student raised her hand. Teacher, are humans our enemies? The teacher thought carefully. No. They could have destroyed us. They could have taken revenge. But they chose justice instead. Humans are not our enemies. They are our reminder. They remind us that power without honor is worthless. They remind us that some things are sacred. Another student asked, will we ever be friends with humans? The teacher smiled sadly. Perhaps. In time. If we prove worthy of their friendship. If we remember the lesson they taught us. If we honor the rule. On New Haven, little Subin was playing with her friends under the 3 moons. She was laughing, running through fields of alien flowers that glowed softly in the twilight. Her mother watched from the porch of their new house, and for the first time in months, Hannah felt truly at peace. The colony ship Eternal Spring sat in orbit above the planet, being converted into a space station. It would serve as a waypoint for future travelers, a reminder of what the colonists had survived and overcome. And across the galaxy, on ships and stations and planets far from Earth, spacers told the story of Omega-7. They told it to their children, to new travelers, to anyone who would listen. The story became legend. The legend became truth. The oldest rule in the galaxy had been rewritten. Not in ink or code, but in the memory of every species that heard the tale. Do not trifle with humans. Not because they are the strongest, not because they are the smartest, but because they are the species that will cross any distance, pay any price, and fight any battle to protect their own. And that makes them the most dangerous species of all.